this is why I hate The Tourist. I was a little bit lukewarm, and I'm like, it looks nice, you know, it's got some nice little puzzle elements. There have been a few moments where I've figured something out and I go, oh, that was quite clever. But what the hell? They're out of their minds. Someone decided, yeah, this'll do. What? Has anyone ever done this? Jesus Christ. It's not just me, is it? Look at this shit. Here we go. How in the name of... I'm gonna go for it. I think... How did I miss that? Was I too close? Was I too far away? It's impossible to tell. I swear, every time I'm like, it looks like I'm gonna land on it. And I don't. Jesus Christ. One more go. Can you see the despair on my face? It's making me sad. Maybe the trick is to wait for it to turn fully before you jump. Because it does like jump and then while it's turning, then land. I think I might have got it. No, because I'm still... It's dreadful. It's not fun. But maybe because I was having trouble with Earth Knight at first, I wasn't having too much fun with that, but it was because I'm not used to auto runners and I kept trying to adjust my jump mid-air, but you can't do that. The only way you can adjust your jump is to fall faster. But once I got into like playing the game the way you're supposed to, I actually started having fun with it. So maybe there's some way, something I'm supposed to do here that would help make this easier. But Jesus Christ, if I can't see it. No, this is dreadful. I don't know why I'm trying to redeem. This is absolutely dreadful. Oh, this is a bollock. Right, I think I've got it. Right. If I fail this, I swear down, I'm being dead serious. If I fail this jump and the room resets, I'm going to quit the game, delete it off my Switch, and never think about it again. Are you ready? In fact, I think I'm just going to try and double jump my way over there. Risk it. The Tourist there, that's the first of the 6 games that I bought last week. Now, to be honest, that was probably a bit unfair there because it was late, I was getting tired and grumpy. But I've learned, I mean, my backlog is enormous. And if a game's winding me up, I've like, just let it go, stop, play something else. You know, you don't have to finish every game. Move on, you might as well. The other game I just mentioned a second ago, Earth Knight, like I said, I was getting a bit frustrated with this one to begin with. I didn't understand the loop, I didn't know what I was doing or why. The game just sort of throws you into it, and the controls were something I wasn't quite used to. So it's an auto runner, so you're running along automatically. No shit, Mark. You've got 2 characters to pick from. One of them's a bit more straightforward than the other. The guy with the beard has a short jump and a long jump. And the girl, she can double jump or dash downward. And that resets after you hit the floor or bounce off an enemy. So you could like jump, bounce an enemy, jump again, keep going. So her controls are slightly more complicated, but I feel like playing as the girl is a little better, suits me a little better. I feel like you've got more options. The game didn't really click for me until I started unlocking power-ups and I realised the loop of it. I'm like, okay, so you're gaining water with each run, and then with the water you can unlock these power-ups which make the game a bit easier. So for example, with the girl, sorry, I don't know the character's names, there's like a loaf of bread, and then when you pick that up, certain enemies become vulnerable to her dash. It's like, oh, so it becomes less frustrating, it's less like you're just bumping into stuff all the time. So Earth Knight, yeah, in the end I quite liked it, and I think I'm probably going to spend some more time with it. What other games? I've written them all down in my diary somewhere. Doraemon Story of Seasons. This is more like it. You know, you see me getting stressed out over The Tourist. Doraemon, it's a sedate pace. It's a nice game. Look at it. Doesn't it look nice? It looks so nice. And you get the idea. It's a Harvest Moon game, basically. Right, I am going to talk about my gripes, though. I mean, I love to complain about stuff, and here's my complaint. The game has like an hour-long tutorial where it's like, if you don't know, you play as a group of kids who start off in the real world in modern-day Japan, I presume, and then they get whisked away by a magic storm and land in this like fantasy fairy tale town where one of the rules of this town is that all the children have to work. I don't know why that is, but you have, if you're a kid in this place, you have to have a job. And so the first hour of the game is you like wandering around town. It's like, this is the lady who owns the chickens. You talk to them, it's like, hello, chicken. Like, hello, nice to meet you. You're the kids who landed here, aren't you? Yeah. Do you have a job? No, you don't have a job. Anyway, let's go talk to the lady who owns the cows. Blah, blah, blah. Let's go talk to the item shop. Hello. Yes, thank you. Let's go talk to the blacksmith. Oh, hello, blacksmith. Yeah, blah, blah. Do you have a job? No, I don't have a job. Let's go talk to this. And it's just that. Let's go talk to the restaurant owner. Let's go talk to the doctor. And it takes an hour. It literally takes an hour walking around town, blah, blah, blah. Oh, do you know how to run a farm? It's like, no kidding. The place where you end up at is the farm. I know, we know what we're getting into. We know what this game is. Stop wandering around going like, can you imagine, like, you talk to the doctor. Yeah, go on, you could be the doctor's apprentice. And you'd be like scratching your head, wouldn't you? Be like, I thought this was a farming game. Anyway, you wind up at the farm and the guy's like, press A to pick up a turnip. And you're like, God almighty. To be fair, you can skip it. But I never do. You know, when you start a game, a new game for the first time, the game's like, do you want to see the tutorial or not? And I always say yes, because it's like, I'm pretty sure I could figure it out for myself. And I'm pretty sure I've played games like this before and I know the deal. But what if I'm wrong? So I may as well just take a couple of minutes and see and make sure. Because otherwise I'll be scratching my head later on and I'll only have myself to blame, won't I? Well, it takes an hour to make sure with this game. Except, I'm walking around later on, I've got my little farm set up, planting the little, like, 5 turnips the game gives you to start off with. I'm like, I better buy some more seeds. So I go over to the shop and walk inside. There's the shopkeeper and I go, hello. And she goes, hello. I'm like, yeah, can I buy something, please? And she's like, hello. I'm like, yes. And I keep talking to her and all she'll do is like, oh, nice weather today, Norbit. I'm like, yeah, can I buy some seeds now? Please? Yes, nice weather. No, I don't care about the weather. Please tell me, how do you buy stuff from this shop? Hello? No, not hello. Oh, for God's sake. So I'm like, maybe you don't, because in some games, you know, like Legend of Zelda, you don't talk to the shopkeeper to buy stuff. You go over to the merchandise, don't you, and pick it up. So I'm like walking around trying to interact with stuff in the shop. That doesn't work. So I'm like, okay, so if it's not by picking stuff up in the shop and it's not by talking to the shopkeeper, maybe I haven't triggered an event yet. Maybe I have to walk around town or something like that and I'll talk to someone and they'll say something like, oh, can you do me a favor and go buy something from the shop? And the buying, like the shop mechanic will be tutorialized. Maybe I have to wait for something like that to happen. Because like with the fishing, that just happened. I talked to someone randomly. I'm like, here, come to my place and I'll give you a fishing rod. And I went out and got a fishing rod and did some fishing and it was crap. But like, the fishing, Jesus Christ. Because they're like, you should use some bait. So I bought some bait. And then I'm like, how do you use the bait? I don't know. So I went over to the edge of the water and selected the bait. And then a prompt come up that said bait hook. And I pressed it. And nobody just threw the bait in the water. And I'm like, was that supposed to happen? Does that work? I don't know. Like, what's the indication? I'm like, okay, let's assume that is what that worked. It's like, how long does the bait last for? Do I have to use the bait every time I catch a fish? Do I have to use the bait every time I throw my line into the water, whether I catch the fish or not? Does it last for a certain amount of time? I don't know. What effect does it have? I couldn't really... Whatever. Anyway, back to the shop. So a few days pass and there's no event. There's nothing prompting me to go to the shop. Every time I go to the shop, I walk in there, talk to the person, I go, hello, nice weather. I'm like, just sell me some stuff. And I'm, no. One day I went to go in the shop and I couldn't. It just said, cannot open now. I walked into the doors, cannot open now, it says. Or something like that. I'm like, what? What am I missing? So I had to Google it. I'm like, why can't I buy stuff from the shop? And then it's like, oh yeah, there's a board outside with the opening hours. I'm like, the opening hours? Yeah. And you're like looking at the screen. I'm like, which of these things would you interact with to check the opening hours? This little chalkboard? No. This little board over here next to the door, right next to it? No. What about these signs here that look like directions, signposts? Yes, it's them. And then when you look at it, the shop doesn't open till 3 p.m. 3 p.m.? Why is that? Why? I don't know. It's so confusing as well. The fact that you can walk into the shop while it's closed and there's no indication that it's closed. Whatever. All it means is that I'm an idiot and I haven't really played a Story of Seasons game before. But now I know, and it's no big deal. So that's my gripe. But that aside, I love it. I actually love it. Even the little sound effects, the way he like yelps every time you do something. For some reason, this is a game that makes me smile. And that's the number one thing that you'd want to get out of a game, isn't it? If a game makes you smile, then it's worth playing, then it's worth the money. I say it's worth the money. This game I thought was a bit pricey. I got it in the sale and it was still like 30 quid. I guess time will tell if it's worth it or not. Right now I like it, but my opinion can change. Whatever, what else was there? Fast RMX. Fast RMX is the racing game I picked up because I've been waiting for Nintendo to make another F-Zero game or get them to make Sega do it. And they won't do it. So since I got fed up of waiting, I started looking, I'm like, are there any other racing games on the Switch? And it turns out Fast RMX, which I think was a launch game. So give that a go. And my opinion is, I like it. It looks nice enough, it runs slick, it runs really fast, it feels fast when you're doing it. I mean, big surprise, it feels bloody fast. But it never feels like you're out of control. It handles well, and it runs smoothly, and I like the presentation is nice. There's not a load of stuff going on in Fast RMX. It's not one of those games that's like super chock full of features and stuff. It's basically like a Grand Prix time trial, I think of hero mode, where you have to win the race in first place, and your boost meter doubles up as your shield meter, which means you can kill yourself by bashing into walls or whatever. And that's basically it. But what more do you need? It's nice, the presentation is nice, it's clean, it's minimal, it presents you with all the information you need. Like when you finish a GP, it shows you your time and like compares it to your previous time, so you can see quickly if you're improving, if you got better or worse. You can, on the selection screens, you can see like what you've done and where you want to go. It's nice, I like it. It loads quickly and it's good. And what I like about it as well is the Grand Prix, they're like 3 races, so it takes like 10-15 minutes to do a GP, so it really suits handheld play. Fast RMX made a good impression on me, I like that. Kunai, 2D pixel art Metroidvania, 3 words that I love to hear. I'm not very good at Kunai. It's got a mechanic where you've got 2 little knives, kunai if you will, and you fire them off and swing around with them like grappling hooks. And I gotta say, I'm not used to that mechanic yet. But I think this game, it'll be worth the effort to get used to it. It seems good. It's got a nice bit of humour about it. The central character has a really nice amount of expression on his face as he's walking around. Plus a really good, whenever you find a hat, he pulls this really amazed expression that makes me laugh every time. Those kunai, man, swinging around on the kunai. It was a bit where I was up on like a flying ship, and there was like some platforming where if you fall down you die, and it doesn't put you back on the screen, it loads you back at the last save point, which is super annoying. But overall my impression of Kunai is good, and I like it. Is that what this is? Is this just me naming 6 games and saying did I like it, did I not? I suppose it is, essentially. Demon's Tilt, the pinball game. Yes. Now, the thing about Demon's Tilt, the thing about pinball games, is that if you just pick it up and just start bashing away at the flippers and just flinging the ball anywhere, not really understanding what's going on the table, it's just a random mess. It doesn't make any sense. So the way to get anything out of it is to sort of understand what's going on the table. You really need to look at a table guide to figure out what your goals are, and then once you've got something that you're trying to achieve and you know where you want the ball to go and for what reason, then it instantly becomes a lot better. I don't think Demon's Tilt's very good at explaining itself. It has a quick guide, which I think is essentially useless. So what I ended up doing was Googling it, and I found a guide someone had written on Steam, but like trying to read through this thing, it felt like an hour-long project. My god. Basically what you need to know is this table has 3 tiers to it. Each tier has its own objectives, and you can see what you're supposed to do for those objectives on the right side of the screen. Go for that. Just focus on that at first. The other mechanic I'd say is worth a look at is the multiplier. There's a hammer in tier 1, the bottom tier, and I think it's by interacting with the priestess mostly, who's on tier 2, that you charge up the hammer, and every now and then you visit it, the hammer smacks the ball and it increases the multiplier on the stage. That really gets your score going up. But once you've got a few goals to aim for, if you do a little bit of research and figure out how the table works, it's a good pinball game. I like it. There's that. That's my catchphrase now. I like it, or I don't like it. I often found myself with Demon's Tilt. I kept retrying. I kept wanting to do it as soon as my last ball drained out. That's a bad way of putting it. As soon as the game ended, I wanted to retry and do it again. And often I'd just do it without thinking and just do it and do it and do it. So Demon's Tilt, I guess the thumbs up from me. Well, there we go. That was the 6 games that I bought last week. I haven't really made any progress on Trials of Mana. I'll get back to that this week. And I think I should be able to do it before the remake comes out. Whatever. Anyway, I'm sure you're very interested to know how my game's coming along.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. There was a reason I didn't lead with my game this week, and that's because I don't really have a lot to show. Reason being, I decided to start over again. I feel like I learned a lot about coding in those first 2 weeks, and looking at the way my code got by the end of the second week for this the first version of this game, it's become like a sort of Frankenstein's monster of code, like one thing bolted on top of another and just improvising all the way, and it had become very unwieldy, and it was getting difficult to expand the game any further because variables were being passed around between objects left and right. I was finding it hard to backtrack through my own code and figure out what triggered what and where I could adjust the code without breaking things. So it felt like a good time to wipe the slate clean and use what I'd learned to create a new project. Now, the problem is it's just not very exciting to show people what I've done. So here's one of the things now. I'll show you, judge for yourself. This code that you're seeing on screen here handles text. Now, the way text works in version 1 of the game, down here, if I wanted any text to appear in the game, I would basically just have to draw it in Photoshop, then export that as one whole thing as a sprite, and then create an object in the game that would use that sprite, and the text would appear on screen. But the way the text will work in version 2, I've created this image here, which basically has the whole alphabet on one long image. Then, if we go back to the code in the game, let's boot it up here, and you'll see what I mean. So I write a string like by just tapping it into the code, in this case the words blah blah blah, and what this code does is it can detect the length of the string, which in this case is 14 characters long including spaces. Then it checks each character in the string and returns, I think it's called an odd value. Pretty sure that's what it is. Anyway, the point is that every key on the keyboard has its own specific numerical value, and you can see them written above the letters here. Then it takes that numerical value and translates it into coordinates on that image, on the long image that has the full alphabet, and then displays a part of that sprite that's dependent on the number. And so the upshot is now that rather than having to create separate images for each piece of text that I want, I can now generate text basically as fast as I can type it, which to me is very exciting. Look, do you not agree? It's exciting, isn't it? Look, blah blah blah, and then I can change that just as easy as you like to anything in the world, and then it shows up in the game. It saves me a ton of time. How about that? So it's been a bunch of stuff like that I've been working. I say a bunch of stuff, that's basically it. But let me show you what the game looks like now anyway. So here we go. I still haven't got a name for this game. I still refer to it as Desktop Tamagotchi when I write about it in my diary, but like, I can't call it that obviously. So it needs a name. But here we go. It's not just the code that I've redone anyway. I started by completely redrawing the graphics. It still looks the same, but like the area's 4 times the size now. There's this new intro. There he is. He's got a few different behaviours that he does here. Flick his ear, tap the shell. The yawn is the one that I really like, but he doesn't seem to want to do it, even though it's completely random. Come on, you little swine. Do the yawn. Oh, God. I might change the code so that it's not random, so that he cycles through his little behaviours here. Because I'm sick of waiting for him to do the yawn. There you go. God, it wasn't worth it. Right. Here's a new thing I've added. Save files into the game. 2 new games, and there's one I started already. Just little things to make it more like an actual game. Oh, the frame. So it looks like it's in like a little Tamagotchi device. That's cool, isn't it? I would say that I made it. And here's the egg. And we're just back to like, even though this is all new, really it's not new at all, is it? Ah, the sounds. That's something else as well. So up until now, I had been using freesounds.org to just download sounds and use them. But as of this week, I decided to get rid of all those sounds, and I downloaded a program called BeeFixer. Hey, nice sound. Which basically uses a bunch of presets and sliders that you can make your own sort of like 8-bit bleeps and bloops and things. And that's pretty much all I need for this game. And it just simplifies the matter of... It means I can get exactly the sound I want, and it means I don't have to worry about different licenses. Because some of the sounds, they're all free on Free Sounds, but some of them have different licenses, which means you can't use them in commercial projects or whatever. And oh my God. So this simplifies a lot of that. Wee, nice sound. And that's it. That's as far as I've got up to. God, it's backwards progress. But I felt it was necessary. I felt like in the old game, the code was too much of a mess. The screen size was too small. I was reaching a point where I wanted to do things in the game, and I didn't really have the space to do it. And well, hopefully this is good. I'm gonna keep moving forward on this project. And we'll see where we get up to next week. Hopefully I'll have something new in the game, and I won't just spend all week trying to recreate all the old features. God. Hopefully more exciting for you next week.
And there we have it. The whole tedious iterative process of game design unfolding before your very eyes. I'm lucky anyone watches these videos, aren't I? If I was a proper YouTube channel, I'd be talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, or I'd be doing like a top 10 video like... IGN just put out a video recently. It's called the Top 10 Modern RPGs of All Time. The Top 10 Modern RPGs of All Time. I mean, to be honest, I haven't watched the video, so it could be a clever joke, but I don't... Whatever. Anyway, there's one last bit of business to take care of this week, and that is the anime of the week. No jingle this week. So... the anime I watched this week was called A Certain Magical Index, and to cut a long story short, do not watch it. It's dreadful. I mean, okay, that's a little bit unfair. And it's not that dreadful. It can't be that dreadful because I watched the whole first season, 24 episodes. So, you know, I was intrigued enough. I wanted to know what happened. The characters weren't like overly obnoxious. But the whole time I was watching it, I kept imagining, I thought, imagine someone walked in the room now and asked me to explain what was going on. Where would I even start? Where the hell would I even start? They'd be like, okay, who's the little girl now? I'd be like, that's his teacher. She'd be like, why is he like a 4-year-old girl? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's his deal? Why is he talking like he doesn't know anyone? Like, he's got amnesia. I was like, didn't the other girl have amnesia? No, the other girl had to have her memories wiped once a year, otherwise her brain would explode or something. Really? Well, no, not really. I suppose that was a lie being told by the church. I'm like, who are the church now? The church can do magic, and the people in the city can do magic as well, it seems like, but not like magic. It's more like science magic. What? Like, the whole premise is pretty complicated, but I don't have a problem with that. I've watched a lot of anime. The premise can be as complicated or as stupid as you like. What really matters is the way the characters behave, the way the characters respond to the situations they're in. If the characters are smart, if they react the way that normal humans would react to things, if they do things that make sense, what I call the log horizon effect, if they're behaving in a way that you can get on board with and you can understand their actions, then it makes the plot a lot more compelling, and the situation can be whatever you like. However, they behave like the way people behave in a certain magical index. It's like they have dice rolls in their heads and they just do things at complete random, and they don't do things that should make sense. You know what I mean? Like, imagine a bad guy's after someone and then the person they're after is like right there, and instead of just grabbing them, they're like, run while you can. It's like, no, just grab them, just get them. They're here now. So much time wasting. When a show's 12 episodes long, it's got to get moving. You know, every episode has to do something, not a wasted minute. I said that about Erased. 24 episodes, you've got twice the length, twice the amount of time to fill. It feels padded out and weird. There's an episode where they're fighting like a golem, a huge animated rock monster, and there's like a SWAT team there firing guns at it, and you've got our hero, what's he called? Tom. Let's call him Tom for short. Our hero Tom. Sounds like I've got a real problem with memory, haven't I? I can't remember anyone's name in anything ever. Right, so our little spiky-headed hero's there. Now his power, it's called the Imagine Breaker in his, I'm holding on my left hand, it's in his right hand. He has the power to cancel out magical effects, which means if he touches the golem, it becomes a harmless lump of stone and falls to pieces. So all he's got to do is touch it. There's loads of people in this area, they're all in danger, and he could stop it, just touch it. Like, there's just so much tension, it gets drawn out for ages. And I know that like building dramatic tension is a device, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. In this, it just doesn't seem to work. I'm just looking at it going, like, just get on with it, and they don't. And he's like running towards the golem. He's there within arm's reach, and then instead of touching it, he like does a sweet dive. He like hits the floor and slides under it, does a rock star slide, and then he gets next to it. And I'm like, touch it. But then he starts talking to the sorceress who's conjured the golem. I'm like, he's like there. It's like she says something. He's like, whoa, like just touch it. Just be like, oh sorry, what were you saying? There's no need to stop. That's just one example of something that's stuck in my head. But all the way through it, the characters were behaving in strange ways that I just couldn't quite understand. In that episode, spoilers, I suppose. I'm spoiling the whole thing. It's quite towards the finale, but I don't care. It's quite an old anime anyway. I don't even know, how the hell did I end up with this anime? I've got it on Blu-ray. At a certain point, I was well into anime while I was in university, and then I dropped off until about maybe 2017. I started getting back into it again. And around that time, I just did like a bunch of Google searches, like on my anime list and stuff, and I looked at a few obnoxious YouTubers, much like myself, to like get recommendations, and I just bought a bunch of stuff based off recommendations. So maybe it come from that period. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so there's a character who's like, all right, I won't spoil it too much. Quick note for myself there, editing the video in the future. Ignore what I just said then. I do spoil it. I should probably spend my time doing some more useful stuff, you know, like helping out around the house or something, rather than just making these shit videos. Oh well, who cares? Enjoy the rest of the video. But she's like slightly different from other people. And then without checking, she just assumes that if anyone finds out about this difference, she's like, I'm a monster. Everyone's going to hate me forever. And I'm like, why? Why do you assume that? And it's like, and of course they don't. And it's like, maybe I'd be more invested. Maybe I'd believe this character's train of thought if I was either 15 years old myself, or I hadn't seen this character 100 million times in other shows where they're like, oh, I'm such a freak, I've got a scar, or my brain is a computer, or technically speaking, I'm not a human because I'm an elf or something, or blah, blah, blah. I'm slightly different from everyone else, therefore everyone must hate me. And then they finally tell someone, and they're like, it's okay, you are who you are, and blah. And I'm just going like, blah. Like, fantastic. It's supposed to be this dramatic, emotional moment, and it just doesn't land at all. What am I saying? Why am I wasting your time with it anyway? That's anime of the week, a certain magical index. You know what? Yeah, do watch it. Fine. Watch the stupidness for yourself. You explain it to someone. Thanks for watching. See you next week.